At what point did hell break loose? What sparked off the scaffolds?
What triggered it is the thinking and the thought that we were being taken back to pre-1992 era. Actually, I would say between 1982 and 1992, because those laws were retrogressive and the courts actually confirmed and proved us right. So you asked me what gave me the courage. What gave me the courage was the interest of Kenyans. I felt that I could not sit in a house and history would judge me harshly. Because many people would not know what really transpired when those laws were passed. Many would have just read the list of those MPs who were in parliament then, and I would be one of the victims of, I would be accused for being one of the people who presided over or sat as illegalities were being committed on the people of Kenya. So I decided to take that step to paralyze the operation of parliament.
What triggered is that, that time Jubilee thought that they had to pass that bill by all means, by voting, by fighting, by beating people, and by doing all kind of manner of things. And CORD was prepared for anything. They were prepared for voting. They knew they didn't have the numbers, but they had other issues that they were raising, which were constitutional. And the standing order says that any constitutional question takes precedence before a bill or a matter is discussed. So they were raising those constitutional issues. They were ready for war. They were ready for a fight. They were prepared. We were prepared. We were told, come out of that house with one thing, that bill has not passed, period. If that bill passes, then the consequences will be dire. So everybody was set. So men were prepared for war. In fact, women were worse. They were even prepared for war. So that's exactly what happened. And I don't expect it, or I don't expect it to happen again in the near future.
Many of the members who are involved in those skirmishes had, and you can look at the order paper of that day, they had proposed amendments which they had intended to move. Those amendments had been approved by me because I was convinced that they made sense. They were not the amendments they were proposing. The Honorable Millie Odhiambo, for instance, had several amendments. So did Kaluma, did David Ochieng, and several other members, including now some of the amendments which, after they discussed with the committee, as is usually the case when you have many laws being amended, some of the amendments were taken over by the committee because the committee agreed with them. And because, in order to create some orderliness, the committee took and taken them over to move them, and they were proposed by them. The others where the committee did not agree with the members who are proposing them, they brought them to me, and I approved them. So the normal way would have been for those members to be in the House, during committee of the whole House, and move their amendments, and through power of reason and logic, hope to persuade the other members. Who knows? It may well be that actually they could even have gone through, but they chose instead to play politics.
So one of the suggestions that were made, I remember, by the then minority leader, Honorable Jakoyo Midio, was for members to retreat into a Kamkunji and iron out some of the issues which we were thinking were controversial. And then after this was ironed out, then the bill would be reintroduced in a format or with amendments that were already agreed from a bipartisan position. That wasn't to be. So when the Speaker and the majority side were determined to push it, we also were determined to stop it. So, so then there was the famous water, whether it was famous, infamous water incident, because the Speaker was continuing in Committee of the Whole House. So what I thought, maybe I should pour water on the papers, not really on the Speaker, but on the papers that she was reading, so that we would have a discussion. What we were saying is, can we talk? Can we, even if we are minority, can we be heard? So I think it was just the urge to be heard as members who are also elected in the 11th Parliament. So, yeah, so the water came, we were punished for it. I think we spent days outside of Parliament under punishment, but I think it is a lesson. It was a lesson to everybody as to whether we really need to go to that extent or whether we should just have a bipartisan approach to issues.
If the only reason that people wanted to disrupt was because the laws were not good, when the matter went to court, how many of the sections passed were outlawed? Less than 6. So it shows that really there was no reason for the altercation.
On that particular afternoon, several members were badly injured, among them Millie Odhiambo, who was punched in the face. Dagoretti North legislator Paul Simbarat's finger was beaten by another member of parliament and was subsequently admitted at the Nairobi hospital. In 1997, a similar incident occurred in Parliament when opposition members of Parliament disrupted the budget reading process as they demanded for constitutional reforms ahead of that year's general election.
The most scary thing is when we were told some of the Jubilee members had walked into the chamber with guns. They were armed. So, you know, somebody can just lose his temper and lose his control and start shooting people inside there. What will you do? You know, you lose life in a second. You can't get it back. Even if you take somebody to court to jail him. But later it was confirmed that those are just rumors. It was not true. But that was the most frightening thing that I remember among ourselves in court, that guys were armed, and as we came there with empty-handed, in the mukono.
Deputy Speaker then, who is now Bomet Governor Dr. Joyce Cherono Laboso, later buried the hatchet with Homa Bay woman representative Gladys Wanga.
She herself is the one that, you know, kept coming, apologizing. It was not personal, you know. It was all, you know, and she kept giving some excuses. But in the end, really, it is. I look at it as, you know, some of the hazards that happen in the line of duty. I mean, I was just there, playing my role as an arbiter, and them getting frustrated that, you know, even the fact that there were things that they wanted to pass through, but they can't do it because, you know, they don't have the numbers. It got down to really, it is, they were frustrated, and we were also, you know, equally frustrated. And by the time it got to the level where it had gotten, you couldn't really call it parliamentary business anymore. It's almost like it was just a chaotic scene, really. So there are not very many lessons that should be learned. I
think we said it's just business. It's really nothing personal. We were all just in the furrow, and I did tell the Deputy Speaker it wasn't really, the water was targeted for the papers, you know, not so much for the Speaker herself, because that was one of the issues that was raised. But otherwise, I think nothing that we do here is personal. Everything is just political positions that we hold, and we are in business. We are here to represent our constituents and what they believe.
However, for Gladys Wanga, her goose had been cooked. After the 2017 general election, the Jubilee Party leadership ensured she did not retain her slot as a commissioner in the Parliamentary Service Commission. She ultimately paid the price.
Honorable Duale many times said Wanga cannot make it. There was a time even the president himself, you know, mentioned that Honorable Wanga should not go to the Parliamentary Service Commission. I was paying a price for standing strongly with the positions of my party. These positions have prices. Some people have paid the ultimate price. I mean, some people have paid with their lives for political positions that they have taken. So the PSC is really a small price to pay for executing the things we believed in as a party. So for me, It's a price I had to pay. I paid it, and I've moved on. So, and it's nothing personal again. I do not take it personally against the majority leader or whoever else. And there was a lot of machinations, not just on the Jubilee side, even on the NASA side, of people who thought maybe this one is rising too high, rising too fast. That is politics for you.
Duncan Hemba, The Untold Story.